Eala destroys Coco Gauff in just 58 minutes and the crowd absolutely erupts. Nobody saw it coming. Not the analysts, not the fans, not even Gauff herself. From the very first serve, the energy felt different. Sharper, colder, electric. Eala wasn't just playing tennis. She was sending a message. Every shot cut through the air like a blade. Every return answered with fire. Gauff's rhythm shattered, her confidence slipping point by point. The crowd rose with every rally, disbelief turning into roar. And when the final ball hit the line, silence turned into chaos. History had just been rewritten. But behind that 58-minute masterpiece lies a story no one expected of pressure, rivalry, and quiet revenge. Because sometimes dominance isn't about power. It's about proving everyone wrong. Before the eruption, there was silence. A strange, uneasy quiet that filled the arena just moments before the match began. The kind of silence that feels like a warning. Everyone knew Coco Gauff, the teenage prodigy who conquered the world, who carried the weight of expectation with the ease of a veteran, a Grand Slam champion, a symbol of the sport's next generation. And across the net stood Alexandra Eala. Calm, composed, unknown to some, underestimated by many. She wasn't the headline. She wasn't the favorite. But she was the storm no one saw coming. For months, I had been building something in silence. Long practices under the burning sun, late nights spent reviewing match tapes, moments of doubt that she refused to let win. She came from the Philippines, a nation where tennis is passion but not a promise. Where every victory feels like rebellion and every defeat feels personal. From the beginning, Eala had been told that players from her side of the world don't make it to the top. Too far, too few resources, too small a stage. But she didn't want to make it to the top to prove them wrong. She wanted it because she believed she belonged there. And now on this court, under the blinding lights, she stood across from the woman who symbolized everything she was told she couldn't be. Coco Gauff, the face of modern tennis, the favorite of crowds, the darling of endorsements, and a warrior on the court. The match wasn't supposed to be close. The betting lines were one-sided. Commentators predicted a routine win. But when I stepped to the baseline for her warm-up, there was something in her eyes. A quiet kind of fury. She wasn't there to participate. She was there to take over. In her team's corner, her coach whispered something only she could hear. Forget who she is. Remember who you are. It wasn't just advice. It was ignition. The crowd murmured, restless, waiting for Gauff's signature energy to light up the court. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled notes. But when Eala struck her first serve, fast, clean, right on the edge, the sound cracked like thunder, and even Gauff looked slightly surprised. That opening game told a story no one was prepared to believe. Eala wasn't reacting to Gauff's rhythm. She was dictating it. Every rally was measured, every movement deliberate, and within minutes, the tension began to shift. The crowd used to cheering Gauff's dominance started to feel something unusual. Uncertainty. There was a look in Eala's eyes that seasoned fans recognized. Not arrogance, not nerves, but focus so pure it looked almost cold. And in that focus was the story of every moment she'd been overlooked, every tournament she entered as just another name. This wasn't just a match. It was a declaration. As the first set began, the crowd still believed in a comeback. They always did with Gauff. Her resilience was her legend. But in the air, there was a whisper that grew louder with every point. Who is this girl? By the time Eala broke serve for the first time, her shots had become statements. Every winner drew gasps. Every rally ended with disbelief. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't celebrating. She was locked in, laser-focused, methodical. Coco Gauff, known for her fire and fight, suddenly looked human. And in that first half hour, the balance of women's tennis felt like it was tilting. The silence before the storm began to fade. The eruption was coming. It began with a single rally. 41 shots of pure defiance. The kind of rally that defines momentum. The kind that shifts everything you thought you knew. Coco Gauff had just lost her serve. She stood at the baseline, spinning her racket, trying to slow down the rhythm that was slipping away. Across the net, Eala's eyes never left her. No emotion, no smile, just that still steady fire. The first serve came in hard. Gauff's trademark power, a blur toward the corner. Eala caught it clean deep to the backhand. Then came the back and forth, forehand, backhand, cross-court line. Neither was backing off. The crowd gasped after each exchange, the pace rising with every shot. And then it happened. Eala stepped in, anticipated the angle, and ripped a forehand down the line so fierce it painted the edge of the baseline. The umpire's call cut through the tension. Game. Eala. Gauff froze. The crowd erupted and something cracked in the air. That point didn't just win a game. It changed everything. For the first time in the match, Coco looked unsure. Her eyes darted toward her box, seeking reassurance. Her coach clapped slowly, but his expression said it all. This wasn't supposed to happen. Meanwhile, I walked calmly to her chair, taking a sip of water, her face unreadable. Commentators tried to rationalize it. Maybe Gauff's adjusting, one said. Eala is playing out of her mind, another whispered. But what they didn't realize was that this wasn't a lucky streak. It was strategy. Eala had studied Gauff. She knew where the pressure points were. She didn't go for winners every time. She waited, forcing errors, tightening the angles until Gauff had no space left to breathe. The crowd, mostly there for Gauff, began to turn restless. Murmurs, gasps, even nervous applause when Eala's winners struck clean. At 4-1 in the first set, a brief exchange changed the tone entirely. After missing a routine backhand, Gauff shouted in frustration, smashing the ball against the net post. The umpire issued a warning and the arena fell quiet. Eala didn't react. She just turned away, adjusted her wristband, and walked to the baseline. That moment told the world who was in control because it wasn't just skill anymore. It was psychology. Each of Gauff's expressions fed into Eala's calm. The more Coco tried to fire herself up, the colder Alex became. The contrast was striking. One player chasing rhythm, the other dictating time. The next few games passed like lightning. Eala's returns were brutal, precise, almost surgical. Her court movement felt effortless. And when she broke for 51, the crowd couldn't believe it. People started recording on their phones, capturing what felt like history unfolding in real time. Is this really happening? One fan shouted near the front row. By the time the first set ended 61, the narrative had flipped completely. Commentators were now using words like dominant, thunderous energy. And yet, she didn't smile, not once, because she knew the match wasn't over. Not until the last point. In the second set, Gauff tried to reset. Deep breaths, slower tempo, a few solid serves, but momentum is a strange thing. Once it shifts, it doesn't come back easily. And in Eala's eyes, the spark had already turned into fire. By the fourth game, Gauff's frustration boiled again. She questioned a line call, Eala's forehand that kissed the edge. Out. Gauff shouted. The umpire overruled. The crowd booed, tension filling the air. Eala simply nodded and prepared to serve again. That point broke the illusion completely. This wasn't luck. This was domination. Pure, methodical, unstoppable. And when I held serve with an ace down the tee, the crowd rose again, half in disbelief, half in admiration. She was rewriting the story in real time. One game at a time, one statement at a time. Because in that moment, the young woman from Manila wasn't playing against Coco Gauff. She was playing against every doubt she'd ever been handed. And for the first time, it looked like she was winning. By the start of the second set, the atmosphere inside the arena had completely changed. What began as a Gauff-friendly crowd had turned into something else, something wild, unpredictable, electric. The sound of disbelief echoed after every point. You could almost hear the collective thought, "This can't be happening." Aya was up a set and already breaking serve again. Her confidence had turned into control, and her control was now something dangerous. It was quiet dominance. Every movement felt measured. Every rally ended with precision. She didn't celebrate, didn't scream, didn't pump her fist. She simply turned, adjusted her cap, and walked back to the baseline. It was that composure, that silence that made the crowd explode even louder. At 2-0, Coco Gauff finally let out a roar after a rare winner. She waved her hands toward the stands, trying to feed off the noise. The audience responded, cheers, chants, energy. For a moment, it felt like the tide could turn, but Eala didn't blink. On the very next point, she fired a serve wide, pulled Gauff off the court, and finished with a clean forehand into the open space. The rally lasted 9 seconds. The crowd gasped. Then came the chant, soft at first, from one section in the upper rows. "Allah Allah." It grew loud at the stands and realized the crowd was no longer entirely hers. That it'd slump after every lost point. Every time she tried to rally, Eala answered with something sharper, faster, crueler. Social media began buzzing mid-match. Clips of Eala's precision forehands and Gauff's missed backhands flooded X and TikTok. "Who is this girl?" One tweet read. "Another Eala's playing like she's got a point to prove. And wow, she's proving it." By the halfway mark of the second set, "Ya loves Gauff" was trending. Commentators in disbelief whispered through the broadcast, "This is one of the most dominant performances we've seen against Coco Gauff in years." The tension wasn't just on the court anymore. It was global. At 4-1, Gauff double faulted. The crowd groaned and she threw her head back, her frustration visible. Eala, calm as ever, bounced the ball 3 times and served again. Another ace won. The audience exploded. Cameras panned across faces. Some cheering, some stunned. In the player box, Ella's team stayed silent, hands folded, eyes locked on her every move. They knew what was coming. And then the final game. Coco Gauff serving to stay in the match. The crowd rose to its feet, shouting her name, begging for a miracle. But miracles don't come on command. Ella's return was ruthless. Deep, heavy, unrelenting. Coco fought. Error. Match point. Silence. The serve came in. Middle of the box. Ella's forehand ripped across court. A blur of sound and color. The ball clipped the line. Perfect. Game, set, and match. Eala. The words echoed. And for a second, time seemed to stop. Then an eruption. The entire stadium roared. Fans leapt from their seats, phones in the air, voices breaking through the noise. Eala stood still for a moment, breathing hard, staring at the scoreboard. Car 6 went 58 minutes. Coco Gauff walked to the net and offered her hand. Eala met it firmly. No smirk, no arrogance, just quiet respect. But the cameras caught it. That flicker in Gauff's expression, the frustration hidden behind her sportsmanship. As Eala walked off the court, the noise followed her. The crowd chanted her name like they were witnessing the birth of something historic. She glanced back once, not had just witnessed it happen live. When the match ended, the echoes of the crowd still filled the arena long after disappeared down the tunnel. It felt like everyone had just witnessed a small earthquake. Brief, sudden, impossible to ignore. Coco Gauff sat alone on the bench, towel over her head, absorbing what had just happened. For a player used to controlling every rhythm, every narrative, this loss wasn't just defeat. It was disbelief. Within minutes, clips of the match flooded social media. TikTok edits of Eala's forehands, slow-motion replays of her cross-court shots, and side-by-side comparisons of their reactions, all looping endlessly. The caption that went viral read, 58 minutes, no mercy. Fans on X divided instantly. One side praised Eala as a future superstar, the player who brought precision and fearlessness back to women's tennis. The other called the performance too clinical, too cold, even disrespectful. Because dominance, when unexpected, always stirs discomfort, Gauff's supporters tried to rationalize it. She looked tired. She's saving energy for the next event. But deep down, everyone knew this wasn't about fatigue. It was about control. In her post-match press conference, Gauff forced a smile. She played lights out. "I couldn't find my rhythm today." But her eyes told another story. Tight, distant, still processing what had unfolded. She wasn't angry at Eala. She was angry at the helplessness that every athlete fears when your best isn't enough. And then came Eala. Calm, humble, and slightly overwhelmed by the attention. Her first words were quiet, almost soft. "I just tried to play my game. I respect Coco a lot. She's one of the best. I didn't expect this score." That humility only amplified the noise.